Welcome to Ideagen TV, live from the Embassy of Ethiopia here in Washington, D.C. It is my great honor and incredible privilege to be sitting here for an interview with His Excellency Ambassador Seleshi Bekele. Ambassador, thank you for hosting us here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you, George. Good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to really sitting with you and interviewed by Ideagen.
Thank you.
And the summit
is
going to be very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's very exciting for the millions of people that will be watching Ideagen TV live from the Embassy of Ethiopia. We could not be more thrilled and honored. And I'd like to lead in with Your Excellency to tell us briefly about the key interests of Ethiopia and the United States as we sit here in Washington.
Well, Ethiopia and the United States of America are historically very good partners. The diplomatic relationship spans over a century, 120 years actually this year.
Oh, wow.
And it started with trade relationship and then evolved to diplomatic relationship, and we have been together since then, and good partners. We went to various parts of the world together as peacekeepers.
That's right.
In the peacekeeping mission and fighting some of the world wars. For example, in the Korea and the Congo and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Economically, also, we have very good partnership and relationship. Our famous Ethiopian Airlines, which is the best airline.
Ethiopian Airlines, great airline
in Africa.
That's right.
Connecting Africa to the rest of the world is first supported by U.S. government, and there are also others like the telecom sector, the energy sector, and water and energy sector. All these were actually helped by the U.S. expertise and knowledge at that period, in the 1900 year. So there is good relationship when it comes, for example, trade, coffee, health.
That's right.
Agriculture, even machineries and so on.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
Well, it's the cradle of civilization.
Of course.
The cradle of civilization, and I say that humbly as a Greek. The Greeks and the Ethiopians have been together since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning. So it's apropos that we're here at the Embassy of Ethiopia, leading the way. The home of the African Union the headquarters is in Addis.
Addis Ababa. Yes, we call Addis Ababa as the diplomatic capital of Africa.
The diplomatic capital of Africa.
Not only African Union, but also Economic Commission for Africa is housed in Addis Ababa.
That's right.
And
incredible.
As a result, so many diplomats from all over the world are residing in Addis Ababa.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, I believe, and I've seen, we've been in Washington 24 years. Leadership starts at the top. It's the leaders that help set the tone. That help set the tone for diplomacy, for impact, etc. And Ethiopia has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
Yeah.
And despite the challenges in the last few years, the country is projected to continue this growth trajectory. What are some of the policy reforms, Mr. Ambassador, and investment priorities in Ethiopia today?
Since 5 years, especially, we are embarking on serious reforms. The reforms include, in the areas of finance, first at an umbrella level on the policies, to look into economic policy, which is really transformative, that embraces the private sector as the center than actually the public investment. In this regard, then privatization, for example, in the areas of telecom, contribution of private sector in energy development as foreign direct investment, in health sector, so that people come in and invest in hospitals, clinics, and health services, agriculture sector, manufacturing, and the like. So the enablers are, really to work on what are the key priority areas of investment that attract us for indirect investment are well identified, and also in terms of institutional reform to make investing in Ethiopia easier are really a source of attractiveness for growth and investment. The recent growth, even if we have been in the challenge the last years, especially due to conflict and the drought and the lag, still our growth is at 6.4%.
That's incredible.
That's significant, yeah.
It's very significant. 6.4% growth is phenomenal. Wow. And so shifting gears a bit, Ideagen is focused on helping create awareness and ultimately helping to achieve the global goals of the United Nations through partnerships and conversations like this today. In 2015, you're familiar with the fact that all 193 member states of the United Nations, including Ethiopia, voted yes, we agree on these 17 global goals. 17 global goals that today we are at the midterms, not the US in midterms, the midterms leading up to achieving, hopefully, the global goals of the United Nations. Secretary Guterres recently said it's a steep hill we're climbing to help achieve these goals. But yet what is inspiring today is the fact that Ethiopia is helping to lead the way, helping to lead the way in all the areas you talked about, agriculture, health, etc., to help lead the way to achieve the goals. And so please tell us briefly about what you see as that model for success for helping to achieve the global goals in Ethiopia.
Wonderful. Incidentally, I was also at the United Nations when SDG was designed. I was at Sustainable Development Department. I know about this.
So
17 goals issue. It's well formulated. Basically, it is a succession of Millennium Development Goals.
Sure.
It cuts across the 17 goals. 16 are related to specific actions to be done.
Mm-hmm.
The 17th is on partnership.
Yes.
Ethiopia has shown the way on key areas. Number one, overall growth of GDP and service sectors are increasing very significantly. In poverty reduction, immense work is ongoing, especially in an agriculture area where majority of the people in Ethiopia live in the rural area and under agriculture economy, which means then you have to improve production and productivity of agriculture. So our recent success, which really plays well to the SDGs, is summer wheat production, in which Ethiopia used to import wheat in the tune of about $1 billion a year, but now we have satisfied our needs, even can export. How that comes is actually to increase production. That means extensification of agriculture and use of irrigation and so on, producing not only once, 2-3 times a year. Then it increases the volume of the yield and the production volume. So production and productivity has increased, not only in the wheat, but also in other crop areas. For example, rice is introduced into Ethiopia, and that is successful as well.
Wow.
We are increasing our coffee production, which is providing the most delicious coffee to the world. So,
the best coffee in the world.
Yes.
This is a fact.
We are the origin of the coffee.
Fact.
Yeah.
The origin of coffee.
Yes, we have to also increase the production and productivity and delivering to the global market. That is one area around agriculture, but also related to that, maintaining and protecting the environment as related to Development Goal 13 on climate change, or
That's right.
life above water,
Yes.
underwater, as well as in ecosystems. We are doing extremely well in that also. If the world could do what we are doing in Ethiopia, I think we can really reverse climate change.
Incredible.
Yeah, what we are doing is every year at least 5 billion new tree seedlings are planted. All Ethiopians are involved. For the last 4 years, we planted 28 billion trees.
28 billion.
Billion trees. It means it reverses degradation on number one.
Right.
Number two, it can sequester carbon. number 3 can be used as food, because some of the production of the planted trees are agroforestry, which means fruits can be harvested and then can supplement the nutritious food into the society, and some of them are also exported. We produce like mango, avocado, even banana,
Wow.
coffee,
Incredible.
and the like. So these are really improving the production system in a better way. So that is another example. In the energy sector, in relation to the reform, where 100%, almost 97.5% renewable energy. We are utilizing renewable energy only, largely from hydro, but also from wind, solar, geothermal, and the like.
97.5%.
Renewable energy. The world is struggling actually to reach 50% renewable, but ours is very much higher than. So it means in terms of climate change mitigation and sustainability, we are also doing very well. We have challenges because of climate change. There is frequent drought and flood happening. Those are still remaining challenge, but for those also there are solutions, adaptation solutions. For example, in drought-prone areas, we are embarking on climate resilient wash, water supply, sanitation, and hygiene system, where we can really deeply dig the boreholes and take water and transmit water where it is needed. That deep well source of water means it will not be easily affected by frequent drought and
Right.
annual variation. Rather, long-term drought, of course, can affect it, but vulnerability that is coming due to annual episodes could be overcome. But for that, we need really capital. We need good partnership from Goal 17, where the advanced countries provide some resource for developing economy in order to overcome and tackle the adaptation part of the climate change. On the mitigation, of course, I just told you, we are doing in the renewable energy, we're doing well in carbon sequestration. What else? We are moving on those issues.
You know, when we first started the conversation, I thought, well, His Excellency Ambassador Bekele knows a little bit about the global goals.
Right.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people about the global goals. I have to say, without a doubt, you are the most well-versed and most passionate about the global goals, and you have something to back it up. Ethiopia is truly leading the way. 97.5% renewable energy, and many countries are struggling to get to 50%.
Yeah.
And you top that with a 6.4% GDP.
Yeah.
There's some good things happening in Ethiopia, I could say, without a doubt.
It is happening. Of course, there are challenges.
Sure.
As I told you, capital is serious scarcity.
Yeah.
We want international community or international investors to come into Ethiopia and invest. Various areas, for example, agriculture itself is one, but also tourism is another interesting area. Health is another interesting area. Education. This could really move or attract investors.
Sure.
Because some of the issues that investors looking for, cheaper energy, one of the cheapest energy in the world.
Wow.
In addition to being renewable, we are providing cheap electricity. Employment is at low level, but we have a lot of labor. Some skilled and some unskilled, but unskilled labor can easily be trained.
Mm-hmm.
Those are attractions. We have ample water in the land. Minerals are not touched yet. So a lot can be done in that area as well. Manufacturing is obviously important.
That's right.
So we need those kind of input or interest from the global community to come and invest in Ethiopia. Of course, for that matter, broader Africa as well.
Well, it sounds to me like a win-win because you can share a lot of the successful implementation around the global goals. You're a business-friendly country, and therefore it sounds to me like a win-win.
It is.
It's a win-win.
It is win. It is win.
And so, as we're looking at investing in the green economy, you've talked about that.
Yeah.
There's a project around green legacy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the green legacy has got a number of components. The primary component is actually plantation of either to reverse degradation, which means afforestation, or also plant in the new areas where it is not covered by forests. The other part is actually rehabilitating extremely degraded area using soil and water conservation, water harvesting works. It means most of the river basins and watersheds are degraded. Therefore, the people of Ethiopia every year for the green plantation, about 25 million people participate. But for soil and water conservation work, about 12 million people with free labor for 30 days actually participating in constructing water harvesting infrastructure, terracing, soil and water conservation work. So this is really greening the ecosystem and the land, and also improve the yield of water from the watersheds and basins. In terms of greening also, instead of extensification of agricultural land, focus more on intensification. What does it mean? In a smaller land, you can intensify and make production 2-3 times a year than actually harvesting once using rainfall. But we can harvest water. The harvested water from watershed and so on can be utilized for irrigating during dry season. We have groundwater, we have surface water. Those can be managed and also increase production. So reserve some of the area for afforestation in the forest, preserving ecosystem, and the rest intensify and really increase production from limited land. It means also another dimension of sustainability.
That's right.
Yeah. So when you look at labor, instead of working only during rainfed system or rain period of 3 months, when you have irrigation during dry season, people could have occupation or have enter into production system, produce 2-3 times a year. Therefore, labor productivity will increase.
That's right.
Land productivity increases, water productivity increases. That is,
it's all circularity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a circularity.
So this is where the green legacy is. Cities which are in the past used to be dirty, like Addis Ababa, rehabilitated with various parks, clean area. Not only in Addis Ababa, but also other places have got this chance of establishing new parks for tourist attraction.
Beautiful.
And also really make Ethiopia beautiful in the eyes of the world, so that we get our share of the tourists to visit.
I love it. It's incredible. And so, what is your message to the global audience, including international corporations and those looking to conduct business in Ethiopia or visit as a tourist? What is your message to everyone?
Surely, the new destination for investment, which is highly profitable, is Africa. Ethiopia is also part of that. In Ethiopia, a lot of opportunities. Yes, we have been over the last 2 years under some sort of conflict. That is over now. We have a peace agreement. We have provided good infrastructure. Railway is there now. Ethiopian Airlines is the base to transport people in the goods within Africa, as well as connecting to Europe and the US. So it's very attractive for the investors in terms of logistics and infrastructure. In terms of natural resource to exploit and make it productive, there are ample opportunities, as I've said. So foreign direct investment should come to Africa because it yields a lot. will be profitable
That's right.
in so many areas.
Incredible. What a great, powerful, inspiring story. His Excellency Ambassador Bekele, thank you so very much. Thank you for all you're doing to change the world.
Yeah.
And thank you for your leadership.
Thanks a lot.